Please welcome America's service sales coach, Joe Crisara.
Welcome to the Service MVP Podcast, the show that helps home service professionals master high-value sales, build stronger client relationships, and grow their business like never before. Join industry experts as they share real strategies that drive results. If you're ready to level up your service game, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
It's the Service MVP Podcast.
Let's talk a little more about specifically the numbers. Like knowing your numbers is it's a general statement to say, and it's obviously I think anybody would say it's good advice. But I think a lot of times it's kind of faced when you tell people that, it can be kind of like, what do you mean? Like the numbers? Like could you be a little more specific, George? Like when you were talking to that business owner that was at that training with us, what specifically do you think some of the things that people do need to know more specifically that are for you instrumental to growing the business with knowledge that you're moving the right direction? Tell me the importance of the numbers and what specifically numbers are the most important, and what do those numbers indicate, like for the action you need to take? Because numbers aren't just numbers; they're like things that indicate time to take action on something, right? So tell me a little bit more about that part, about the numbers, and dig into why that's so important. Number one, just start with that first. Why is that so important to you?
It's so important to understand where your money's going, right? You have all this money coming into your business, and if you don't look to see where it's going, then it's just they're going to run away. Every dollar you bring into your company is like an employee to your company. So if you have $1,000 that come in, you have $1,000. You have 1,000 employees. You got to tell every employee what to do. And if you don't watch that, if you don't set a budget to that dollar, it's going to run away. It's going to go party, and it's never going to come back. So one is becoming departmentalized. You got to separate your business. You have service, you have maintenance, and you have new equipment. A lot of times people lose money in maintenance and service, and they make it all into they don't realize that because they're making it back in new equipment. But they don't know which department they're making money or not making money. Because you could be making money in your installs, which we all do because those are high ticket dollars. But in maintenance and service, you could be losing money. So one, departmentalize, separate the three services. This way you can really see, okay, is this department making money? And then knowing your margins, what's your gross margins, right? You have cost of goods sold. So above the line items is all relative to the cost of that job getting done. You know, there's certain margin that you want to be in. So you have to know, okay, is my direct labor too high, or am I undercharging, right? Am I not charging enough for the work? Because you're going to really understand that once you have it dialed in and you have departmentalized and you know what your gross margins are, and then your fixed cost below the line. What are you spending your money on? Your office, your phones, your utilities, your trucks, can you get cheaper insurance, right? Always, every month you should be checking these numbers once a month. You should have somebody doing your numbers. And if you don't, you don't have to be an expert on how to edit the numbers or put the numbers in. Find somebody that can do that for you, and just understand how to read a P&L sheet and how to read a balance sheet. Right? Those are key things. You don't need to know how to do it all. You just need to know how to learn it and how to read it.
George, can you give me an example or tell me a story about? I'll ask this question a little slowly so you can give you a chance to acclimate to this question. It's going to be. I know you're going to say it's a good question, because I think this is like kind of the landing spot for what you just said there, which is tell me a story or a time that you did look at your profit and loss statement, or you look at your numbers, and something did come out to you, but here's more important. You found something that was a challenge, like, oh, that doesn't make sense or whatever. This is a problem, or this number shows me a problem. And then what action resulted from knowing, because I think that's the part that people don't understand, is just knowing the numbers is not good enough. it's knowing the numbers and then taking action to change the numbers. Like we're not here to keep the same number, right, George? We're
Yes.
here to make sure the numbers look better the next month than they do this month, right? It makes sense there. So tell me like an example of a story that you saw something that's like, oh my God, look, I had a blind spot. I didn't even see that number, or I see the number now. Yeah, my goodness. I either change the price or change the people or change the training, or what were some of the action things that you can tell us as a result of looking at your numbers that you had to take that have improved things that all out?
Well, yeah, that is a great question. And I think it goes from last year to this year, we made huge strides on what we made as a company. And it goes back to what my gross profit was. And last year, my gross profit was shit. It was like in the 30s. And that's not a good percentile to be in, right? You want your gross margins to be at least 50% or higher. So knowing that just told me, okay, well, one, I'm either paying too much for labor, I'm paying too much for parts and materials or equipment, and I'm undercharged. So that was an eye opener, right? So then beginning of the year, I went to my distributors and said, hey, I need a price cut. This stuff's getting ridiculously out of whack, and I can't afford to be buying from you. So maybe I had to maybe you have to switch distributors on who you're working with, right? Maybe that's a thing. I didn't have to. I just talked to my distributors, my territory managers, and I got a price. I got them to reduce the price a little bit, but then I also increased my pricing. So then that automatically increased my gross margin, which was really key. And then I really dialed into my fixed costs and what I was spending my money on, because you could waste a lot of money on software out there. And I was like, well, is this software really doing it for us? Am I getting an ROI on this investment? And I was able to cut some of those things off, right? So we did last year, it's not big, but we did $900,000 in revenue, but I didn't even I lost $50,000. Mm-hmm. Where this year we did 1.2 million and we made 23% net profit off of that. Mm-hmm. So that was a huge difference. That just knowing those numbers and because I see companies now that are $4 or $5 million companies don't know their numbers, don't know what a gross margin is, what they should be at. They're doing $4 or $5 million and only making $50,000 off of that, and that's crap. What are you in business for if you're doing that?
Have you? I think you can imagine that people, because they're busy, especially in a place like Arizona, where you would just start hiring tons of more new employees, not knowing your numbers and really getting in trouble. Can you imagine seeing something like that, George, or is that something that
you see it all the time?
Because I think that's one of the things. I think that is the trap that, hey, I need to get more trucks or I need to get more people. But if you're not like right now, I think you don't have that many employees. How many employees you working there right now, George?
I've got 3.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got 3 employees. If you're not making money with 3 employees, what makes you think you're going to make money with 10 employees? Does that make sense? Like that, like what advice would you give people before they grow or even take on other profit center? Because I see sometimes people like you who are like, I think I need to start doing plumbing to make more money. And it's like, dude, you're not making money with the current your current situation. Why do you think plumbing is going to make money when you're not making money with the current situation you got going? Could you speak on that a little bit more about some of that things you've been careful to avoid there a little bit more?
People think that they can outwork themselves. Well, if I just work a little harder, I can get there. If I just work a little harder, I can do that. But you can only work so many hours in a year. Right? What can you work? 2,020 hours in a year. Mm-hmm. You want to work harder. Maybe you can add an extra 500 hours, but that's working 6 days a week, 60 hours a week. You can only work so hard. So you got to work smarter. That's how you're going to make it. So get some process and procedures and less is more. Go back to the basics and do what you do best. Start there and then you can grow. But if you don't have it dialed in with 3 employees or 2 employees or just yourself, getting more revenue is not the answer. Because if you don't know what you're doing with that revenue, it's meaningless.
Thank you for listening and watching the Service MVP podcast. I want to give you a copy of my free book. Just click on the link below in the description and one will be sent to you from me personally. Thank you so much for listening.